Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
I hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. How's everything going today?
Everything is going well. Welcome to all of our buzzer beaters to At the Buzzer, our market cap. How's your day, Coach?
Um, Little choppy in the bonds and the yen, but overall pretty slow for me. I didn't trade much. I lost according to plan. How
There
about
you go.
yourself?
Choppy day as well. Choppy day as well. Started off down a little bit. Was able to recover it through the rest of the day. Yesterday we talked about daily loss limits. I had a daily loss limit day yesterday. Got close to it today, not as close as I as hitting it, but started off down, and I think I talked to my VIPs about it. Where if you've allotted for a certain amount of risk for the day, do you ideally want to use all of it? You don't, but just because you were close to it doesn't mean the day is over. Saw some good opportunities, took a step back in the middle of the day, reviewed kind of what I did real quick, and saw some more opportunities and took advantage of them. Got back on the right side of the markets. Let us know how you did in the chat. Were you up on the day, down on the day? If there's anything that you learned from the day, maybe you stayed flat out of all of the craziness. Maybe you were short yesterday and you were busy counting all the money that you made today to take any trades. But welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, I'm Coach Jay. That is Coach Paul. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. May talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity, see how we could have taken advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay. Been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023. Been in the futures markets for the past 6 years and trading for the past 13. And that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. Um, I've been involved in the futures industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some of my experiences, perhaps wisdom, and assist you in becoming a better trader.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. Uh, Interesting day in the markets for sure. There was some planned news out, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Trader Hub. We did have Jolt's job openings come in at 7.74 million. Forecast was 7.6. The WASD report for all of our ag traders came out today as well. Um, but really, the big news again, and we even call it unplanned news at this point. It's planned. Tariffs. Our president 25%, adding a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum. Um, but now we see after the close, Trump trade advisor Navarro, no 50% steel and aluminum tariffs on Canada tomorrow. So these are the environments that we're in right now, everyone.
It's a 25%. There's another
So,
headline.
oh, 25% begins.
Yeah,
Okay. So the headline that came out this morning was an additional 25% to what was already 25 to make it 50. Right? Because I think tomorrow it was already planned to be 25, and then he said add 25 this morning, and that's why we saw a sell off. Um, but that was never signed off on. So instead of it being 50, it's 25 going into effect at midnight, like you said, Coach. What did all of that just mean? There isn't there isn't any certainty in this unplanned news as well. It seems like at the drop of a dime, it's hey, let's add tariffs, let's take some off, let's add some over here. Uh, It's uncertain, so just be aware of that. The one thing it has brought us, and we say it all the time as traders, we embrace the volatility. One thing it has brought us is opportunity, but with increased ranges. Coach, we've been talking about this for a little bit now, but that ATR on the daily. Let's look at the S&P. Daily ATR is 105 points. That is at where we were on the peak of that sell-off in July to August of 2024, where the daily ATR on the S&P was at 106 points. Traders, if you're struggling right now, it is not just you. These markets are historically extremely volatile for where we're at right now, right? We've seen this ATR value in 2022. You can see the line on the bottom of my charts here. Uh, and then we get these spikes. volatile times. For comparison, in the Nasdaq, daily ATR is 503 points. A month ago, we were at 323 points. So there's another 200 points of range that the Nasdaq is trading on a daily average.
So r- risk is almost doubled.
Yep.
Okay, so if you're trading the same size, okay, you're taking twice as much risk as you were taking a month ago. If you don't, we talk about position sizing based on volatility. Um, so you could get lucky. I mean, it could work for you, but for 80%, it's you're going to get hit at one time in a day with a loss. And maybe it's 2 to 3 times larger than you used to. Um, so keep your eye on the volatility and adjust your size accordingly.
Adjust accordingly. But there are 35 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts, not just the equities. And if the equities are giving you a problem, maybe you check out one of these other ones. To the downside today, we had wheat futures down 1.1%. Lean hogs down 2.12%, and natural gas, our biggest percentage mover to the downside at 2.81%. To the upside, we had silver up 2.61%, micro Ethereum futures up 4.31%, and micro Bitcoin futures, our biggest percentage mover to the upside at 4.97%. Talk about our big four. We had crude oil up 0.83%, the S&P down 0.73%, gold up 0.82%, and the Nasdaq down 0.24%. There's not a lot of days where we see the S&P with a bigger percentage move than the Nasdaq, but today was one of them. I have a Nasdaq chart up here. I'm going to go to the ES just because I think everybody should be trading the ES right now. Trade what you want. It's just a more friendly market, if you can even call it that, than the Nasdaq currently. Um, and to me, it's been a better trade. So, what are we looking at on a 30-minute chart here, Coach?
All right. Well, let's start with last night. We had the break. Where did we start? There we go. Broke early. Had a nice, nice short there. They had some movement. Um, we found some support. We wicked at yesterday's lows, where we had a pretty sharp rally. But overall, the VWAP never left the range for the whole day. So, I mean, both sides, there was some good trading. Um, but if your position size is too large, you probably can't hold on. These are you experienced it. These 5 minute moves can blow up an account if you're leveraged too big. So look at that. I think actually we're finding some balance here. Um, in front of CPI. Or I like someone said in the chat here, I can't imagine the markets being more volatile with CPI than they already are. Neither can I, but anything can happen. And I agree. But it appears to me today's action in the equities, um, some profit taking for short side, but there's not, there isn't. Look at the biggest volume today in the half hour. They were both selling.
Yeah,
So
both candles that close lower than they opened. Just not a lot of directional movement, like you said, Coach. Both sell side candles. Just goes with the theme for the last 2 weeks. It's crazy when you zoom out and look at this. We've pretty much just moved 10% to the downside in without a lot of bounces.
yeah, but I was talking with Coach Hoop earlier today, and we've talked about that here on at the buzzer. There's not. large buyers. And this is a market that's designed for buying. So maybe tomorrow is the ignition. But if it comes out bearish, I don't see the institutions coming in to buy it because for any reason than just if it goes lower tomorrow. We need to find large buying. Like this yesterday's large candle, that's the closing. So when we're looking at candles, the closing candle can, on the volume, it can be expected. You might have a huge volume in a small candle because it's evening up time. But overall, if we look at it daily, I mean, they did try and buy it once and got immediately rejected. So um, I'm not on a volume basis. I don't see a bottom. One of the things that's hard to do in trading is you can't. You have to own this. It has to go higher. Otherwise, you're catching falling knives. So I don't. It's much the same. Um, Slowing down a bit in front of CPI. How about you? What do you see?
Yeah, slowing down a bit, but still really not any convincing buying in these markets at all. That being said, today presented an opportunity for a two-sided trade. We did have we talked about the selling overnight, which was a decent trade. By the time we were opening up for the New York session, we were pretty much flat. Uh, but we had the New York session open, but we also have jolts coming out half hour into the session. We can kind of see it from a volume perspective here. Uh, Maybe with that, that 10 o'clock Eastern time number, waiting for that number for the market to choose a direction. Uh, where I initially got short on the opening range, looking for a break. We recovered it, and how I was able to recover on the day was okay, saying wait for jolts, wait for this news, and then now the market's ready to go short, and this is my cleaner short opportunity from here. Again, two-sided trade though. If we look at a 30-minute chart for just the New York session, VWAP was pretty flat. But with how wide these ranges are, they've been presenting opportunities for traders to trade. Like we said, increased ATR. If you look at the order books in the Nasdaq, they've been thin really the whole day. I don't know that there was a time that I looked at the Nasdaq and I didn't see at least a four-tick spread, which you're not going to get that in the S&P, right? It's one tick, and it's just a little bit more liquid. Feel like I can trust it just a little bit better. Two-sided trade. We'll see what happens tomorrow. CPI. I'll be on Topstep TV tomorrow, trading fast markets. We will map out the CPI candle the same way we did with Jolts here, and see how the market responds to it. But what we've been seeing is, Coach, CPI should be one of the biggest numbers of the week, right, of the month. And then
Which
we've been seeing more volume in a random tariff comment, which I won't be surprised if tomorrow that the same thing happens, right? Uh, so we will see. Will be an interesting trading day for sure. I know I'm sticking with the S&P through the rest of the week, and going from there.
well, as you said that, I just get a message from my broker for tomorrow's temporary margin changes in front
There
of
we go.
CPI.
Yep.
So, um, but I have to agree. I mean, we volatility in that number, can it get bigger? Yeah, it can. It's hard to imagine, but it can.
Right. It can.
But our suggestion, don't trade in front of that number. Don't have a position. Otherwise, you might be right, but I have a feeling that could wipe both sides of the both trade on both sides violently.
For sure.
Um, so position, wait for the number to come out before you start taking risk. Especially if you're just a beginning trader.
100%. We got a question from One Cool Rattler here. Today, I had my best trading day in my XFA. After having a great day, what advice can you give on not entering the next trading day overconfident? Great question. It is something that I think we're all susceptible to if we think about the money, right? First off, congrats on having your best day in your XFA. That's a big day and it should be celebrated because I'm assuming it's a reflection of the work that you do. Um, so, with that being said, keep the work that you do front of mind and not the numbers, right? A lot of times, what happens is uh, where we have our best day, you think about it, and it doesn't have to be the exception, but for right now, it is. If that's your best day ever, that's an exception. What happens sometimes, and I think it's just human nature, when we have an exception, especially when it comes to dealing with money, we make that the expectation. And then that's a very dangerous place to be, right? There was a certain set of circumstances that led to you having your best trading day today. And I don't know if you came into the day expecting that, but you followed a process and it brought you to this point. Um, and tomorrow it could bring you to 2 times that point if you follow your process, right? Who really knows? But I wouldn't go into the day with that being the expectation. Expectation should be I'm going to follow my process again, because that's what got me to this point. If tomorrow's a loser, that's okay, right? As long as the loser is measured and it's part of your process. Uh, that's a long-winded way to say process over profits, but I think that's exactly what it is. What would you say, Coach?
Oh, exactly the same. Follow your process, maybe pare down. Go half the size to get started. Um, a common psychological trap is you start avoiding losses or taking or you have one loss and you try to make up for it because you don't want it in the XFA. That's once Dolby told us he was what $5 from passing,
I'm passing, right?
and he blew it all up. Um, why? Because he'll be the first to say it. I didn't want. Just wanted to get that money back. So maybe just size down a little for about a week, um, and then get back at it as you feel more confident. But usually, the first and the reason you're even asking is you're concerned about it. Um, so size down. Um, if you were trading, I don't know, whatever your unit, cut it in half for maybe 2 or 3 days a week, till you're comfortable again.
And then just reading a follow up comment from One Cool Rattler saying, I had 2 XFAs. One of them I hit the daily loss limit. The other one I went crazy. Going back to results, we don't get to choose what our results are, but try to make sure that there's no randomness in your wins or losses, right? Or try to eliminate as much randomness as possible in your wins and your losses, right? You should know exactly what it looks like when you win, exactly what it looks like when you lose, for the most part, right? Because it should somewhat be measured. You said in the XFA that worked out, you stuck with your plan and try to focus. Again, back to you learned that lesson or realized that lesson in a day. In one account, I didn't follow my process. What do I get? Daily loss limit. In the other account, I follow my process. What do I get? Best trading day ever. Follow your process.
Follow your process. That's another thing is like you focus, and this is one of the hard things in trading. This isn't a job or where you get paid to show up. I mean, how do you get paid? By having bigger wins than losses. and you can't you have we have no control of what day that's going to happen. So follow your process means in your process, if you've done it long enough, you know that it doesn't come, you can't make money every day. Sometimes we think we can when we get on a streak, but you know, any process has drawdowns. It can be very extremely frustrating. Like you might have a week in a row. That's what, because you can't control that. The other side is, I've made money 5 days in a row, and confidence goes to cockiness.
Hmm.
You know, I'm just going to double up because I've got it all figured out. Um, so when we keep talking about process, ask yourself, or just write it down on paper, or type it out. Whatever what it is, and see if you can get it down to 4 steps, and then follow that, because what happens is emotions take over. And in these kind of markets, and it's very easy. I've been there. This looks good, or what? I had a 5 minute chart, and I just made $750 trading a mini Nasdaq. Heck, I'll do two. Um, is that a process, or is that gambling? Um, and you know what? Once that's why we have combines. You it's it's a great time to understand what your process is, what works and what doesn't. But I'll tell you this, if you don't have it down, you're going to be very vulnerable and to just taking trades on emotion. So, you hear us say this, and I don't know if we say it enough. That's what process is. So,
Uh, all right. Question from Amadeus: where is the best place to start learning trading? I threw this one in our Discord chat, and Andrew, our moderator, said the best places to learn how to trade right here at the buzzer, slow markets, and the London Open with D. I didn't say it, Andrew did. But yeah, I mean, pick someone that you like listening to, enjoy listening to. If it's here with us, we really talk about the same things every day as far as process goes. You could watch every at the buzzer video from now, from today back into August when we started, or July when we started, and it's been pretty much the same analysis of the markets, right? What I would say is, if you're learning trading, forget about making money for right now. You are not in a state to think about making money, but if you learn it, then you can make money for a very long time doing this. But if you go in with the expectation of I have to make money while I'm learning this, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice by not actually getting the opportunity to learn. So stick with us here. Ask questions here. Ask questions in Dakota's slow markets. Um, Identify how someone makes trading decisions, right? Don't try to follow their trades. Identify how they make trading decisions and try to get to the point where you are as fluent in your trading strategy as some of us try to be here.
yeah, and I'd follow up on that. Start couple things. Volume. Start studying how volume works. Study VWAP and study charting patterns. Get to know those. I know, and say which one works, and you know, most likely, if you're just beginning, it's going to take more time than you hoped for.
Yep.
Because you, as Ray Dalio says, you learn it. to struggle well. Difference between struggling well and struggling poorly, you will find out soon. Because when you struggle well, you learn. And don't and in the top of your mind is, okay, I've got it figured out now. And you, you get hit with a loss and you don't really want to accept it. Um, there's a lot to this process. Don't beat yourself up if if you're struggling. Keep it, and it's easy. Keep a journal. Find out you know what's working for you, what your personality is, and also focus on the size of your account.
All right. Myra asked, how long did it take to become profitable? I think I've said this before, but my first year I was very profitable, but I got lucky. And then it took about 6 years to try to start doing anything consistently. And Myra, you said I'm treating this like a 4-year college, and I think that's the right way to do it. What's really the barrier to entry right now for trading is probably the lowest that it's ever been, Coach Paul. You know a lot
Yeah.
more than me, but the problem with that is you are picking up a basketball on day one and finding yourself on an NBA court, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm in the big leagues right away almost, right? Where yes, if you're with Top Step, you're still in a combine and it's not real money and things like that, but you're still susceptible to the same exact game that everybody is playing, right? So treat it like that, right? No one who wants to be a surgeon is going to do, and we've used this before, but you're not doing surgery after a week of med school, because then you're just, I mean, I don't want to do, you could use your imagination, but it's not going to happen, right? And the same thing happens with our accounts if we expect to make money right away. So treat it like tuition, stay patient, and it may not take you as long as you think, right? But having that mindset, I think, is the right way to go forward. All right, let's continue with these markets. I dissected a banana once. Yeah, I mean, we be talking about a, yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah.
All right, let's look at gold. Gold has been in this consolidation for the month so far, for the month of March so far. We've been in this consolidation trying to figure out what we're doing between 28.90 and 29.40. You can see the 200 moving average, which is this white line on a 30-minute chart, kind of flat, right? Starting to flatten out a little bit, and we're trading on both sides of it. Today, we used it as a support once we got above it. I was looking for a breakout long in gold. It did not give it to me, but I've been looking for breakout longs in gold all month, and it hasn't given it to me. So, um, this market has found balance for now and is staying there until it decides where to go. If we started last night, if I bought it last night, I would have been in a good spot. By the time we got up to 29.10s, 29.20s, the move was kind of over. What are you seeing in gold, Coach?
Well, just like you said, if you were on last night, you had a shot. You had a good buy. Remember, you're bullish gold. But if
Yep.
you're not there and you wake up this morning, um, the move was basically over. Um, and that's something we have to deal with in markets that trade 24 hours. Because there really is gold trades literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the cash market. Um, and this is a great example of following a trading plan. Um, you were talking about buying it. The move was made last night. It was a nice trade too. But to say we have a life
Right.
and creating discipline to say, well, now it's already gone. I'm just going to buy it. Um, well, maybe on a 5 minute, Let's go to a 5-minute chart. And 8 o'clock, 7:30 area.
Right around here. Here's the open if you want that in gold. I mean, from there, it's not a bad trade either. I think the house
Yeah,
account was actually long this morning on this opening range breakout.
what the hell? But look at that.
Yeah,
Um, I,
this is crazy.
I'm glad I wasn't looking at it. Um, and if you're trading gold and you lost well today because you followed the plan, I don't think even a skunk couldn't make a cent in that market after the opening. It just, you have to be precision like a surgeon.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, if you're a range trader, maybe you love this, but that's a pretty insane range to trade.
yeah. So bottom line is, yeah, I would have, even if you bought it on the opening, you might get stopped out. If you sold it, you probably got stopped out. Um, if you stayed out of it, then you scratched. Tough trade there. The move, but like I was saying, move was made last night. I don't see many times where a market gives you second chances. You're
Nope.
either in the flow at early or you're not. So overall, let's look at the daily.
20 moving average is
There you go. So unless we close above the 20, I really. And we talked yesterday. What's happening is 20. It's losing momentum. It could be choppy for another month. We don't
yep.
remember the crude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was
Um,
3 months of same prices. Gold can
but
definitely do that.
so tough trade, not a problem if you control your risk, because like we said in beginning of the show, don't expect to make money every day. Don't think that, who does that? Market makers that have direct line into Globex and they can actually match trades before you even hit your mouse. Literally, they make money almost just about every day because they can. We're we're 2 or 3 levels removed from that. But you know, if you were trading gold today and you lost well, you're you actually traded well.
Yep.
If you lost poorly because you were trying to force yourself to make money, that 5-minute bar chart we just saw, that's that'll ruin your account.
Seriously will. Trying to get 1 second here. Because Myra had a good question here. So I do want to answer that one. Are there any other markets that you want to discuss, Coach? Um, there's a couple of questions. I think got some good conversation in the chat here. One
Mhm.
from Coach, who asked, how do you get on the right side of the trend, trading NQ, and felt like you were always on the wrong side of the trend? Uh, in a day
Honestly,
like, go ahead, Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
it's a good group. Two things. What time frame are you talking about? The overall daily time frame, it's the trend is down. On the half hour, what is the trend? I determine it by using the 200 bar moving average. And then I will only trade that side. So I'm only looking for sells in NASDAQ. Um, And even then, I could be trading with the trend and have a losing day. What I can't do is have a day that blows up my account. So today, what was the trend? Coach, and I'll pass it off to you.
Today the trend was flat. If you're looking at the New York session, the reason I'm saying that is because this VWAP, which is this red line, for the entire day was pretty much a flat line, right? How am I calling this flat? Where we did have what looked like some urgency to the upside, it did move to the downside. Let's compare it to yesterday. Yesterday was a trend, right? Where this was a ski slope, right? We're moving here. Today's price action was a ski slope. This is like the bunny hill, right? Where if VWAP looks like this, the market more often than not is going to trade on both sides of that VWAP. Now, you may not use VWAP in your trading, but for me, this is how I try to identify trend if there is any. If this VWAP isn't choosing a direction, and uh, you could zoom out a little bit and maybe look at a 30-minute chart. On the 30-minute, that VWAP never left the range. So what that means usually is when we get to these extremes, right? When we get these extensions, we're more than likely going to see a reversal back up towards that VWAP, because this is kind of empty price action at this point, right? Price is moving lower. There isn't any volume going with it. And the answer to everything I say is going to be volume for the most part. If there's no volume at these lows to continue selling, then we're going to pop back up. I actually put on a short with we were doing a VIP call. I'm going to upload it to our VIP chat in Discord. I think everyone has access to see the VIP chat. It'll be in the VIP Lunatics chat, but we put on a short in the S&Ps, and we were short from 79, 59.79 right here, 55.79. And the idea was, as soon as that selling stops, right? If we don't get the volume, then we're out of the trade because it's going to pop back up, right? Again, VWAP flat line usually means fade the extremes of the range whenever the sellers stop or whenever the buyers stop. We saw it to the upside too, right? Look at Power Hour, where it looked like we were going to push. And as soon as we got extended from VWAP, coach, we were about 5 ATRs away from that VWAP. We come right back to it. Uh,
Yeah. And so we don't, and going back to that, we don't know on the opening whether it's going to be a trend day. Why I trade one side of the market, um, I can lose well. Um, so it looked like it would, what? Look at that breakout. It broke out, making new lows for the day. Um, and then swiftly come back into the opening range, then try it again and swiftly back. I- If there were two trades, you get 2-to-1 on the sell side. From my, you also there was some buy where you get 2-to-1, but the trend overall. So when we go, the hierarchy is daily. You can go 30-minute or hourly, whatever works best for you. After some observation, and then a 5-minute or 3-minute. Um, that's the way the hierarchy works for me. But different time frames, starting with the higher time frames into an execution time frame. And it's still, you doesn't mean you're going to get the trend every day.
right.
Actually, it's like 20 to 25% of the time a market trends. The other 80 to 75% of the time it's not trending. So um taking one side can help you in that.
Awesome
Um,
stuff. All right.
what do you mean by 5 ATRs? So
You want to take that one, coach? You want me to do it?
yeah. So when the coach was saying during what this afternoon when we were making those highs, all right, the average true range at that time was that blue line on the bottom. And what was it, like 18 or 20?
It's over my shoulder here. Give me 1 second. So at this time, it was 13 points.
And this is 13 points. And this is a 3-minute candle.
Hmm.
13 points. 13 points. Let's do math on a mini. It's $650 range.
Yep.
Um, understand that. But here in this point, the 12 or 13, let's 13, and we were how many points away from VWAP or the average volume price? So 13 times 5 is like 75 points away.
Yeah, we were about four. Public
All
school
right,
math.
so even that, 60 to
Shout out to public
what
schools.
that so at that point, you're that far away from where the buying started, so to speak. You're you're trading away from value. Most likely, you have a lot of risk. There's air underneath. So if you started with that trade at VWAP, and then you start counting going forward, then you know how far away using the average true range in that time frame.
We can see something similar to the downside as well, right? Look at this low here. At this time, the ATR was 10 points. We were 50 points away from VWAP. Right? VWAP is the volume weighted average price. This is where most of the volume is sitting with their average. We're 5 points, 5 ATRs away from it. The ATR is 10. We're 50 points away. What do we get? Reversion to it. Um, Interesting. Interesting stuff. Maybe you don't take a long here, but if I'm in a short, or if I'm thinking short, maybe this is not the place to do it because we're so far away. Uh,
Oh,
Go ahead,
you
coach.
hit it on the head. It's not a place to put on risk. We call it selling in a hole.
Yep.
You're 5 ATRs away. What is the probability it's going to continue? Um, so that it's important to know. Wow. Anytime you're that far away, do not initiate a position in that direction.
Yeah, it is extremely low probability, right? We don't know the numbers on it, but ext- extremely low probability that we continue at that point,
Good question.
right? Yeah. Uh, we got a couple of really good questions in here. There was one from Myra that I wanted to make sure I get to. What do you guys consider a confirmation candle when trading? I noticed that traders have different definitions of a confirmation candle. So for me, on a 3 minute, back to this example, I actually had a conversation with Boomer Brian. If Brian is here in Discord today, and Brian was talking about potential longs into this VWAP, right? Uh, so let's just put the whole puzzle together. This is when Brian sent the message. He's like, Coach, we're coming up towards VWAP. Would you get long here? Right? The market is trading at 55.76. And VWAP for the New York session was at 55.82. For the overall day was at 55.90. And what I said was, I need to wait for confirmation because what happened the last time we were up here, we rejected and sold off. Right? So for me, a confirmation candle is something that is a candle that achieves a goal that I'm looking for the market to do in order for me to make a decision. So if I am to go long here, so ideally I get long down here, right? And now I'm 50 points in the profit before a level of contention. For me, a confirmation candle is a candle that breaks that level of contention with volume. So Brian was asking, do I go long here? Would I go long here? And the answer is no. Until I see a candle that breaks that VWAP with some volume, because now that gives me an opportunity to limit risk. What's to say that on this test of VWAP here, there isn't going to be another rejection similar to what we got before, right? So confirmation candle is this one for me. Right? I called it that candle right there where we framed that out. Why? Because that's the candle that closed above VWAP, had some decent volume coming in before it. So I'm going to use this. Now, if I get long anywhere in here, right, from 55.80, uh, really all the way up, my stop has to go on the other side of this candle because that was the candle that broke VWAP. Same thing here, right? Where we get, and sometimes nothing's going to work 100%. This candle right here broke the full session VWAP. That's confirmation that the market closed above it. I can get long here. My stop has to go below it. And this is confirmation that, hey, that shit didn't work. So get out, right?
Uh, uh, True. I-
So for me, a confirmation candle is a candle that achieves a goal, right? I set a goal. Hey, if I want to get long, you have to close above VWAP. Okay, good. That candle closed above VWAP. That was my confirmation. Same thing for an opening range short. Uh, my bad. Excuse my language, guys. But these are the thoughts. These are the thoughts that go through my head while I'm trading. Uh,
And these are the these are the thoughts that go through most traders' heads.
right. Uh, so yeah, for me, it's a candle close on the even for opening range breakout trades. Right. I wait for confirmation. For me, looks like a close outside of the range. Sometimes people take it on the test outside of the range. Right here, my coach Paul talked earlier about having 4 rules for a trade. Right, a 4-step process for taking a trade. For me, my opening range breakout trades are: I need a range established, I need VWAP outside the range, I need a candle outside the range, and then a test and rejection. Some people, and there's no right or wrong, but some people say as soon as we establish an opening range and break it, I'm taking a trade. In this case, this short would have turned out to be a loser, but that's okay because that's part of their process, right? But for me, I need a candle close outside, I need VWAP outside. In this case, you might be late to the trade, but in my process, it's helped me stay out of some bad trades. What about you, coach? What's a confirmation candle look like for you?
Um, it's tough for me to say. I don't watch candles. I'm
Coach,
looking for a confirmation of my 4-step process. So it has to hit those. I don't watch candles. Um, so I can't really give um good advice. Now, I would say there's a difference between volume confirmation and candlestick confirmation or bar chart confirmation. Um, Coach Jay just explained he's looking for confirmation with volume.
yep,
All right.
has to have some volume in it.
But sometimes we'll see a doji candle at a bottom or a high of the day, and look for a failure underneath it. Um, but other than that, I can't really get comment on that.
Yep. All right. Confirmation candle, candle that achieves a goal, breaks VWAP example. Uh, yeah, Myra, that's 100% it. 100% it for me. If I'm looking at a candle, it achieves a goal, it has some volume, and that just gives me an opportunity to limit my risk. Um, all right, we got a ton of questions here, Coach. Any other markets you want to discuss before we move on,
Um,
or we want to just go through rapid fire through these questions?
let's go rapid fire.
Actually, it's not even that much. I'm over exaggerating. B slot. Do you erase the old anchored VWAP when you add a new one? Yes. Uh, Psalm
I
91. Go ahead, Coach.
I erase them at the end of the day
End of the day.
because then they get you see it all of a sudden they got all these lines. I we're day trading, and I want to see it. I erase them at the end of the day. Start anew.
Good stuff. Yeah, I erase them as I'm going because I'll end up with like 20 of them on the screen. So Oh, the ones I keep on are the session opens, right? The New York session open overnight, I'll keep those on. But there's a lot of times where I'll do something like this, right? Where if we have this short here, I'll anchor here, see where we're going, and then I'll anchor another one right here and see if the flow is continuing, and then I'll do another one here, and it can get a little crazy. So I do try to remove them every once in a while. Um,
I anchor mine to the first 3 or 5 minutes, highest volume um, candle. But if there's a next higher volume, I take the old one off. That's just trying to keep an eye of volume. But I also suggest if you're using them anchored wise, at the end of the day, get rid of them all, start fresh for
yep,
a new flow the next day.
100%. Millionaire Mindset says, "Why do some of the coaches care about the length of time you're in a trade? I've heard them comment on people's statistics of how long they are in a trade." Good question. Uh, for me personally, I don't really care too much about the length of a trade, but it's going to be different for every coach, right? I think the reason you hear coaches talk about that, you'll hear the risk team talk about that, is because based on the numbers, we see traders that are able to hold on to trades in trending markets do a little bit better than traders that are in and out, maybe taking 100 trades in a day. But also, the market conditions have to facilitate that. Are market conditions currently facilitating holding on to trending trades? Well, yesterday, if you got short, it was. But in markets like today, uh, they may not facilitate that. My trade times right now are about, on average, 4 minutes that I'm in a trade, but it might take me 2 hours to even take a setup, right? So the way I look at it is if I'm waiting for something very specific to happen on a very short time frame with day trading, if it takes me 2 hours, 2.5 hours to wait for that setup, and then I'm in the trade for 4 minutes, is because I'm looking for momentum to continue. And I consider that a 2.5 hour trade because I had to wait for a specific price action. So as long as the numbers work in your favor, personally, I don't look solely at trade duration as an important enough stat by on its own, right? I think it's all important. What about you, coach?
Oh, well, length of trade, two things. If you're day trading and you're trading 100, a number of trades, if you're trading like some people, 100 trades a day,
Yeah,
you're, you're, our data would show that a large majority of people that trade that much trades, maybe not volume, but trades, they don't do too well because you're not really following an established plan. You're kind of hoping and trading, not willing to take. One of the biggest tells is not willing to take a loss. Yeah, or taking proper risk. I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. Um, so when you have a large amount of trades in a short day trade is a short amount of time. Um, it doesn't work well on a large percent of the time. So, um, but if you can show that you consistently make money, but the the data doesn't show that. So the concern is you it go smaller in size and put a little more time and let it in development. Um, that type of trading pattern has shown over a large data set has a better probability of succeeding over time.
stuff, coach. Claire says 100 trades a day sounds exhausting. Yeah, it definitely does. Decision fatigue is a real thing. Uh, Decision fatigue is a real thing. Psalm 91. What is the most important to you when working on becoming a successful day trader? Uh, Once you've established a strategy, right, let's go with the assumption that you know exactly what you're looking for in order to click the button. That is a part of your business plan, right? It's, hey, I'm opening up a pizzeria. I need to know my location. I need to know times of operation. I need to know who my customer base is. I need to know all these other things. And yes, I'm going to put the pizzas in the oven to cook them, right? Not in the microwave, right? The trade strategy, the trade strategy is putting the pizzas in the oven, right? I think we really need to zoom out and look at it as a business and say, okay, what times am I going to operate? What markets am I going to operate in? What are going to be my non negotiables for my trading account? Right. A lot of times when people say, hey, how do I become a better day trader? We zoom in, right, and try to figure out the perfect trade location. You could literally flip a coin and with proper risk management, have profitable days. Right? You can say, hey, I'm going short here, flip a coin. And if I manage my risk, I could potentially, and I'm not suggesting anybody to do that. If there's anything that we say that is not trading advice, that's definitely one of them. But you could do that. And if you manage the risk right, you could have profitable trades. It's about how you manage your business. So once you've identified a strategy, I think zoom out for sure. And Natalie says, we only have 60 likes. It's kind of light. You guys could do us a favor and hit that like button if you like what you heard here today. Um, I never look at the low like numbers as a negative because I'm gonna be honest. Every time I watch Top Step TV, I only hit the like button after I hear somebody say it. Right. So if Muhammad's on, if Andre's on, and they're like, "Oh, hit that like button," um, then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I should probably do that." I don't even know if I hit it for the daytime stream today. So if you guys could do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Saw some comments in the chat about did we hear what the celebration of the 150K subscribers was yet. We didn't hear it yet. The Top Step team is working on exactly what that is, and I'm sure everyone will be happy whenever they announce it.
Hopefully it won't be microwaved pizzas.
Shout out to Microwave Pizzas. They fed me through middle school and high school.
Yeah, did they?
Yep.
Mine was Kraft macaroni and cheese and a
There you
hot
go.
dog. I still can't eat it to this day. But another thing is developing that. Coach said that if you want to start a business, you'd have to most likely have to go to the bank, get some line of credit.
Right.
That's what you're getting here. Here you don't have to present a business plan. You, you- right? But a bank you're going to have to present a business plan, and they're going to go through it because they don't want everybody wants to start a business. Oh, you want our money? Well, how are you going to do that? Um, and you're going to have to jump through hoops and to get funded. Here, we assume you have a business plan of how you're going to take risk. That's why I go on to a 4-step plan. In that 4-step plan, you have to have risk management. How do you have to? If I'm the bank, I'm going to lend you money. You can't blow through 50% of it in the first 2 hours of trading.
Right.
That's a bad business plan. So be business-like, and by the way, if you're just starting, you're going to have to adjust, most likely.
For sure.
But when you avoid adjusting or avoid losses, they only get bigger. That's why it's so brutal. It's brutally honest. There, when you start trading for reals, there's no resets. Hey, can I get that? I sold that at 50. It's 6. Can I just restart? No. So good, solid biz plan and with risk management, and that's really the only thing I would focus on.
100%. Okay. So Hit My Stock is asking, why when we get high volume does what was the question? Why do we get huge red volume candles but price still shoots up? Uh, so if you're looking at this candle right here, I would almost say ignore this candle. This is the close, right? So we're
Oh,
gonna get the highest volume in there. That's the close, but that doesn't mean that when we see high volume, the market can't go the other way. I think what's really important about identifying high volume candles is not the fact that the high volume happened. It's what happens afterwards, right? Let's consider that this candle right here at these lows was decently high volume for what we saw happening, right? So it's like, okay, yeah, we got a whole bunch of high volume. The market should keep going lower. It's like all that volume traded, right? So are there still sellers that need to continue selling, or do we go the other way? I think that's why we've been attaching VWAP to all of these high volume candles, because it tells you what the flow is after the fact, right? I don't need to try to trade news, which is going to be high volume. I need to know what the flow is after the news, which is continued selling.
and true. One of the things is those are don't confuse those as they're probability opportunities. Don't confuse them as I have to.
Yep,
This is the bottom. Don't confuse that. You can say because as a good trader, you think in probabilities, not I
absolutes.
have to. It has to work. No, it's a high percentage. Um, what's my risk? And then okay, when am I wrong? And when I'm wrong, when I can define that, how much can I afford to lose? That happened to be a good trade.
Yep.
Um,
All right. We are kind of at time. Let's coach. There's any other markets that you want to discuss? Anything on your scouting report going into the rest of the week?
I don't have much on the scouting report in front of CPI.
Got you.
I've been trying to buy the yen and buy bonds, and they've been heavy. And I've been getting chopped, but nothing that's I would say with urgency.
Got you. Yeah, my scouting report tomorrow is how the equities and not even gold, how the equities respond to the print. Can you please answer my question, Shubham? What's your question? I'm gonna have to scroll back and find it. Shubham, if you could repost your question. Oh, do you correlate Globex session VWAP and New York session VWAP? If yes, how do you interpret in relation to price? So do I look at the full session VWAP and New York session VWAP? The answer is yes. Um, let's look at yesterday, for example. Here is we're gonna make the red one red one is gonna be New York. The make it yellow is going to be uh full session. What I'm looking at is okay, New York started. If New York can cross over full session, then that means once New York came in, they started buying it aggressively. If New York can't even make it out of the opening range towards the full session, then they're just continuing to sell it, right? This was actually, if this happens again on Topstep TV, I will be taking the trade. I'll say that much because I was looking at it and I didn't take it. But if it does, I will take it. Now let's look at today where we didn't have as much of a trending day. Coach, you look like you were going to say something.
Well, I think you can get the session full session VWAP.
With
Would
the
that be would
okay.
be almost the same thing? Um,
Oh yeah, this
but I
indicator,
like
right?
yeah, yeah. It's almost yeah. Let's see.
Same thing here though. New York
Yep.
can't price went above it. New York volume didn't. A nice trade there, Shubham. A nice trade. Put that in your
Actually,
playbook.
every time it failed when it rallied and it failed,
Yep.
broke to new lows. So yeah, shoot bomb. Keep that a secret now.
All 600 of us who are here watching. It's our secret. Uh, I got nothing else, coach. Trade well tomorrow. Remember, we got CPI. You don't need to be a soccer goalie and try to figure out which way the penalty kick is going. Let the market decide what it's going to do. Take a safer trade from there. Don't be ashamed at sizing down. I think I saw a trader in the Topstep YouTube chat today say they made 6 grand trading micros today. Now you're trading 150 micros. It's still over leveraged, but I don't think that's what that trader was doing. I think it was just a ton of opportunity, taking advantage of it, and being able to limit risk. I got nothing else, coach. You got anything before we go?
Nothing else. Focus on your process. I would one last piece of advice: get that written down, whatever your process is, and follow the process. It helps follow a process instead of an emotional reaction. And do yourself a favor: don't trade in front of CPI.
Don't trade in front of CPI. I got nothing else. Coach Hoop doing a class in Discord in the next 8 minutes or so. Go show him some love. And then we got Coach Ray and Coach Vince in Discord as well, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Central Time. Dakota for slow markets, 7:30 Central, and Deanna with the London Open, which is an hour later than normal because of daylight saving time. I don't want to misquote the time, but it's on YouTube. 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 3:30 Central. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Trade well, manage your risk, and we all tomorrow. Thanks, coach.
Thank you. Bye.